Sumit Singh's past is back in his face, and this time, it is not about a catfish or an angry mother-in-law. Fans are buzzing because his former life in India, the arranged marriage he tried to bury, is being dragged into fresh drama with whispers of pregnancy and legal trouble wrapped around his name. On top of that, some viewers are asking why Jenny Slatten's name is suddenly tied to police talk in India when she fought so hard to stay there with him in the first place. You are watching TLC Drama Live, and I am Sabrina. If you love 90-day fiancé scandals, messy receipts, and honest breakdowns, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments what you would do if you were in Jenny's place. Walk away or fight for the relationship. To understand why people are even mentioning words like secret wife, baby, and police in the same breath as Sumit and Jenny, you have to look at the pattern, not one single event. From the first time we met them, Sumit was already hiding a whole marriage from Jenny. He was not single. He was living a double life between an Indian wife chosen by his parents and an American girlfriend who thought she found true love online. This is not fan fiction, this is on camera, confirmed on the show, with his own family confronting him. That history matters, because once a person has proven they are willing to lie on that level, every new rumor hits different. Fans are not pulling this out of thin air. They remember his ex-wife, the divorce payment, the legal drama in India, the in-laws who took his passport, and the way his family treated that arranged marriage as the real one. So when talk starts spreading that the ex did not just disappear from his life, and there is chatter about a pregnancy connected to that past, viewers connect dots fast, even if not every detail is public. On the other side, Jenny is the one who left her whole life in the US, moved to India, took the insults, the age-shaming, the cold stares from his mom, and still tried to fit into a culture that never fully welcomed her. For her name to now be mixed with police talk, even in speculation, feels brutal. Fans wonder if she is paying the emotional price for decisions that started with his lies, his silence, and his fear of standing up to his parents. The scariest part is this. The official storyline on TV makes it look like they finally got their happy ending. Married in India, doing cute outings, posting horse riding photos together. But small cracks keep showing in their own words. Cryptic captions about scarcity, tension about kids, and on and off gaps on social media that fuel these new questions. People are asking if the show gave closure, while real life behind the scenes never did, and whether Sumit's past marriage and family ties are still shaping his future in ways Jenny never signed up for. Before all these new rumors, before people started throwing around words like secret wife and pregnancy, Sumit and Jenny were sold to the audience as this strange but kind of sweet love story that somehow survived every hit. Their story started online, on Facebook, with Sumit pretending to be a younger, single guy named Michael Jones, using someone else's photos. Jenny thought she was talking to a hot Indian model type, fell in love, and planned a whole future on that lie. When he finally told her the truth, that he was not Michael and did not look like those pictures, she still chose him. That already showed how deep she was in, long before the show cameras showed up. When Jenny first went to India, viewers saw culture shock, small apartments, nosy neighbors, and secret late-night visits. What they did not see right away was the biggest secret of all. Sumit was already legally married to another woman through an arranged marriage his parents approved. While Jenny was being introduced to India, his wife and in-laws were being kept in the shadows. The emotional manipulation started right there because he told Jenny they would be together. But he was still living with his parents and his wife, acting like nothing was wrong in that house. The truth blew up on screen when his in-laws and family cornered him, dragged him away from the apartment he rented with Jenny, and exposed everything. Fans watched Jenny's face collapse when she realized she had been the other woman the whole time. Sumit kept saying he loved her, that he never loved his arranged wife, that he was forced into it. Maybe some of that is true, but the impact on Jenny was undeniable. She had already invested years, her savings, and her heart in a man who let her be humiliated on camera in front of his whole community. Then came the divorce mess. Sumit's family revealed they had to pay his ex-wife a large settlement. There were scenes about legal paperwork, in-laws demanding money, his passport issues, and his parents saying they were ashamed. Sumit kept crying, apologizing, and telling Jenny to wait for him, promising that once the divorce was done, they would finally marry. Fans saw a guy torn between duty and love, but they also saw a pattern. He did not tell the truth until he was caught. He let Jenny live in uncertainty, and he used his tears to buy more time. People remember the drama with his mom, too. She told Jenny to her face that she was too old, that she would never accept her as a daughter-in-law, that Jenny was stealing her son. The age gap became a weapon in every argument. Jenny sat there crying, trying to be respectful in a culture that was not hers, while Sumit sat in the middle pretending to keep the peace, but rarely drawing a firm line. That early chaos set the tone for everything that followed. And a lot of fans now wonder what else was going on off camera during those early seasons that would explain the tension we see in their recent posts and rumors now. If you look at the core of this story, everything keeps circling back to one thing: Sumit's family. His mother's control over him has never been subtle. She said on camera that she saw his ex-wife as a daughter and that Jenny could never replace her. She used tears, guilt, and even threats of cutting him off to keep him in line. In many Indian families, parents hold huge power over their children's choices, especially marriage, and viewers saw that play out in real time. His father stayed quieter, but his silence was its own kind of pressure. He rarely defended Jenny, rarely challenged his wife on her insults, and mostly backed the idea that Sumit owed them obedience first and happiness second. Under that pressure, Sumit learned how to survive by telling everybody what they wanted to hear in the moment. With Jenny, he was the romantic victim. He cried, begged her to trust him, said he would always choose her, said he never loved his arranged wife. With his parents, he was the guilty son. He promised he would not marry without their blessing, said he understood their pain, said he would not abandon them in old age. This emotional double-dealing became his default behavior. He avoided hard choices by stretching the truth and delaying decisions, then acted shocked when everything exploded. From a viewer's perspective, you see a man who keeps trying to have both Western love story with Jenny and traditional loyalty point of view with his parents. That creates constant conflict because those two things are not aligned. In my opinion, he wanted the comfort of Jenny's unconditional love and the safety of his family's social approval. But he was rarely honest enough to accept he could not fully hold both at the same time. So he lied, minimized, or softened reality. And every person around him paid the emotional price. Jenny ended up in the hardest spot. To stay with him, she had to change almost everything. She moved to India, tried to adjust to joint family expectations, wore traditional clothes, touched elders' feet, sat quietly while his mother insulted her age and fertility. Some critics online accused her of disrespecting Indian culture when she pushed back or when she said she did not want to live with his parents. But there is another side to that. She was an older American woman trying to survive in a system built for young Indian brides who already know the rules, and she received judgment no matter what she did. That culture war played out not just in the house, but also in the fandom. Indian viewers, Western viewers, and diasporas all had different takes on who was wrong. Some said Sumit was weak, some said Jenny was selfish, some blamed the parents. Underneath all of that, one question kept growing. If this much drama is happening in front of cameras, with producers present, what happens when no one is filming? How many arguments about loyalty, kids, living arrangements, and money were cut from the edit? And how much resentment built up in those silent moments that we only see hints of now in their cryptic posts and strained body language? Some of the most worrying signs in Sumit and Jenny's story were not always the biggest dramatic moments. They were the smaller comments and decisions that people shrugged off at the time, but now feel heavier. One of those was Sumit's constant talk about wanting freedom while staying stuck in the same environment that kept him trapped. He told Jenny again and again that he wanted to live his life on his own terms, that he felt suffocated by his parents' control. He cried in the car, he cried in confessional. He said he could not breathe in that house. But when the option came up to move to the United States with Jenny, he pulled back hard. On paper, moving to the US would have solved many of the problems he complained about. Distance from controlling parents, less social judgment over the age gap, more privacy. Yet Sumit made it clear that he did not want to leave India. He said he was attached to his culture, to his parents, to his comfort zone. He wanted freedom, but only inside his own rules. That contradiction is where a lot of fans began to see a red flag. You say you want to escape control, but you also refuse to walk away from the system that gives your parents that control in the first place. There were also several fights about kids and the future that people brushed aside as normal disagreements. Sumit suddenly talking about wanting a child in his late 30s, knowing Jenny was in her 60s and had made it clear she did not want to start over as a mother again. felt less like a random wish and more like a sign he was thinking about a life track that did not fully include her. When someone raises the topic of kids that late in a relationship, especially after years of saying the opposite, it raises questions about where their head and heart actually are. Fans who watch a lot of 90 Day Fiance have seen similar patterns before. Look at Pedro and Chantel. Pedro said he married for love, but his mother and sister were involved in every decision, every dollar, every argument. He talked about wanting a better life, but stayed tied to a family that pushed him to send money back home and stirred conflict with Chantel at every turn. Over time, that outside interference corroded any trust left in the marriage, and they fell apart in a mess of accusations and resentment. Many viewers see echoes of that in Sumit and Jenny. Different cultures, different details, same pressure cooker. There were also those quiet scenes when Jenny would express fear about being alone in India with no support, no retirement plan, no real security, and Sumit would smooth things over with vague promises. He would say he would always be there, that they would manage, that love was enough. But his actions did not always match his words. He stalled on paperwork. He prioritized pleasing his parents even after marriage. He talked about hypothetical futures that kept him emotionally safe while leaving Jenny with all the practical risk. That is why now, when people hear whispers that his past marriage ties were never fully cut in terms of emotional loyalty or family obligations, some are not shocked. They point back to those red flags and ask if Sumit ever fully stepped out of the role of dutiful Indian son and into the role of independent husband to Jenny, or if he has been living in a strange middle zone where his old married life, his parents' expectations, and his new TV marriage all overlap in ways that we are only starting to understand. Now, we reach the part that has fans genuinely shaken, the pregnancy rumors tied back to Sumit's past. To be clear, the show has never confirmed that Sumit has a baby with anyone, and there is no official statement from him naming a pregnant partner. What exists are waves of fan speculation that circle around the same pressure points: his secret arranged marriage, the emotional weight his mother put on him to follow tradition, and the way he talks about wanting a child while being with a partner who cannot give him one biologically. Viewers did not pull the baby talk out of thin air. On screen, Sumit admitted he had been married before. His family treated that marriage as the real one, the one that fit their social circle and cultural rules. He went through a long divorce process, paid a settlement, and faced community judgment. In many traditional setups, a marriage like that is often expected to include children. So, when some fans started asking if there was more to that story, if there was a pregnancy we were never told about, or a woman still tied to him through a child, it landed on ground already softened by years of half-truths and missing details. Add to that his sudden shift in tone about wanting kids. For a long time, Sumit acted like he accepted life with Jenny as a couple without children. Then, he began talking more about becoming a father. He discussed options, adoption, surrogacy, or finding another way. That created a crack in the story he and Jenny had been selling, the idea that love alone was enough for them. Viewers noticed that his social media posts sometimes leaned into family symbolism, children in the background, or vague captions about future generations, while still posing with Jenny as if everything was settled. There have also been small inconsistencies in his online behavior. At times, when Jenny seems quiet or less present, Sumit posts solo or avoids mentioning her directly. Their joint content slows down. Then it picks up again with happy photos that feel almost too polished, like damage control after a rough patch. This kind of pattern is not proof of a secret baby, but it does feed the idea that there are big events off camera that we are only seeing through delayed, filtered updates. Jenny's own online footprint adds more fuel. There have been stretches where she appears less active or where she reposts older memories instead of fresh moments. For a woman who built a whole late life identity around being with her younger Indian husband on TV, any sudden silence hits strong. People ask where she is, whether she is still in India, whether she is staying with him full-time, or whether she is back in the US dealing with visa or legal issues. The lack of clear answers lets rumors grow in all directions. Public reaction to the pregnancy whispers has been split. Some fans are disgusted at the idea that Sumit might have started or continued a family outside of his relationship with Jenny after everything she went through for him. Others think the rumors are exaggerated, but still see them as a symbolic reflection of the main tension in their story: his desire for a traditional family path versus the non-traditional life he chose on camera. The fact that people even find this rumor believable says a lot about how damaged his credibility is. The question that hooks everyone is simple. If there is another woman connected to him in a serious way, whether through a past arranged marriage, a child, or hidden ongoing ties, where does that leave Jenny? Is she the main partner, or is she the emotional support system for a man who never fully cut his ties to the expectations that shaped his first marriage? And if his online patterns keep shifting at the same time these rumors spread, people will keep watching his feeds not for cute couple content, but for cracks that show who he is really standing next to when the cameras are off. When people started throwing Jenny's name in the same sentence as police, a lot of longtime viewers felt sick. This is a woman who left everything behind in the US, followed Sumit to India again and again, and took hit after hit from his family. Hearing talk like handed over to the police makes the whole love story feel like it is tipping into something darker. The phrase itself came from fan chatter and commentary, not from any official TLC update or legal document. Still, the idea caught on fast because everyone remembers how tangled their situation has always been with visas, overstays, and family pressure. There are a few angles people bring up when they try to guess what kind of police involvement Jenny might face. One is immigration. Viewers know she spent long stretches in India on tourist visas before they married. They also saw scenes where she had to leave the country, then come back again, playing a stressful game with time limits and paperwork. Overstaying a visa in any country is serious. While the show never showed Jenny getting arrested or detained, the fear of being forced out through legal channels has always hung over her. So some fans hear police and instantly think of immigration checks, documentation issues, or jealous neighbors calling authorities. Another angle is family-driven conflict. Sumit's family has never been shy about involving outsiders when they wanted to make a point. They brought relatives and community members into arguments. They used social pressure to shame him. In earlier seasons, there were already legal threads around the divorce, in-law demands, and community gossip. It is not a stretch for some viewers to imagine that, if tension was high enough, someone in that circle might threaten to involve police to scare Jenny, especially if they felt she was stealing their son or going against cultural expectations. When you look at the show footage, you do not see a scene where Jenny is physically handed to police. What you do see are repeated moments of her fear about being kicked out of India, losing her right to stay with Sumit, and being at the mercy of systems she does not fully understand. Producers leaned into that, filming her tears at airports, highlighting her panic during visa talks, and zooming in on her worry whenever the subject of legality came up. Over time, online retellings of those scenes blur. A tense visa scare becomes, she got in trouble with authorities, which then turns into, she was handed to the police in gossip circles. There have also been clips and photos that push this tension further in viewers' minds. Shots of Jenny standing alone at an airport with her luggage, crying or looking lost, hit hard when taken out of context. She might be filming a regular departure, following visa rules, or traveling for personal reasons. But when someone pairs that image with words like detained, reported, or police, the emotional impact multiplies. Fans who already see her as the victim in this story feel like she is being punished again, this time not by Sumit's lies, but by cold systems and possibly by the same family that never accepted her. Online, speculation splits into two camps. Some people think any police talk is exaggerated, that what we are seeing is the emotional echo of normal but harsh immigration rules. Others think there is more behind the scenes, that someone in Sumit's circle might have used legal threats as a weapon to pressure her or him. Without official paperwork or a statement from Jenny, we are left with fragments, airport scenes, worried faces, and a lifetime of previous chaos that makes every small hint feel bigger. What makes this even heavier is the thought of Jenny going through any kind of legal scare while already feeling isolated in a foreign country. She does not have her own network there. Her entire support system is tied to the one man whose choices put her in this situation from the start. If the structure around that begins to crack, and authorities get involved in any way at all, she stands to lose not only her relationship, but her home, her stability, and the identity she has built as the woman who made it work with her 90-day fiancé. In the early days, a lot of viewers saw Jenny as the one in control. She was older, more experienced, American, and the one who seemed to have options. People thought, if this does not work, She can go back to the US, start fresh, rebuild. Over time, that flipped completely. Once she gave up her old life, spent her savings, and tied her legal status to being with Sumit in India, he became the one with real power. He had his country, his language, his family, and his social network. She had him, and that was almost it. You can see the shift in their body language on screen. In early seasons, Jenny was fiery. She would snap back, call out the lies, press him for answers. Later, after they finally married, you start to see more scenes where she looks tired instead of angry, where her voice gets smaller while his confidence grows. He starts joking more, teasing, even being a little dismissive in some moments, like he finally won his version of the life he wanted and no longer needs to fight for her as hard. He talks about going out, working, seeing friends, while she stays home, cooks, cleans, and waits. The age gap pressure plays a big part in this. Jenny is in her mid-60s, Sumit is in his 30s. As time passes, that gap is not just a number, it is felt in energy levels, health worries, and future planning. When he starts talking about kids, adventure, new careers, or travel, it reminds both of them of what they do not share. For him, this phase feels like midlife. For her, it is late life. That contrast, even if no one says it out loud, hangs over every argument and every quiet evening in that house. Emotionally, Sumit often acts younger than his age. He leans into jokes, avoidance, and short-term comfort. He hates direct confrontation with his parents. He delays hard conversations. In some scenes, he almost looks like a teenager caught between a strict mom and a girlfriend, rather than a married man making long-term decisions. That might be understandable given his upbringing, but the result is that Jenny, who already carries the weight of age and displacement, also ends up carrying the emotional load. She's the one trying to keep the marriage steady while he drifts between roles. The toll on her shows in small cracks. She has mentioned feeling alone, feeling like she has no one else in India, feeling tired of having the same fights again and again about his parents and their involvement. Viewers watched her cry over the idea of moving into his family home, cried over insults about her age, and then tried to smile for the camera as if everything was fine later. That kind of emotional whiplash wears a person down. There is only so much a human being can absorb before the spark starts to dim. Online communities pick up on those shifts fast. Reddit threads dedicated to 90-Day Fiance have long discussions about whether Jenny looks more sad and less hopeful in newer photos. Some users point out that while she posts nostalgic content, Sumit leans more into upbeat solo moments or cryptic captions. One of his posts about trying to have some good time in scarcity hit fans hard. On the surface, it sounds like a cute line about making the best of things. Read in context, some viewers took it as him saying that happy moments with Jenny feel rare. Those kinds of posts feed theories. People wonder if he feels trapped, if he regrets the path he chose, if he is staying out of loyalty or convenience more than love. Others argue that he is simply being dramatic and that every couple has rough patches. Either way, the public sees cracks, and once they see them, they start digging. Every caption, every smile, every missing ring in a photo is examined like a clue. And under all that noise sits a simple truth. The balance of power shifted. The woman who once seemed like she could walk away any time is now tied to a life where her younger husband holds most of the cards, and his mixed signals online keep everyone guessing about how secure she actually is in that position. One thing that always exposes a reality TV couple's truth is not what they say in interviews, but where they show up when no one expects them. With Sumit, fans have started paying extra attention to his background scenery, airport shots, and tagged locations. That is where the whispers about him traveling solo and possibly spending time outside India without Jenny began to grow louder. A few blurry photos and scattered fan reports claim he has been spotted in places that do not match the calm, settled married life image he and Jenny try to present. Thailand gets mentioned a lot in rumor circles, not because there is firm proof of him living there, but because of patterns viewers have seen with other cast members. Couples like David and Annie built a new chapter there, away from US pressure, away from family drama. So when fans see palm trees, beaches, or hotel-style backdrops in Sumit's content, some jump straight to theories that he is testing out a different life, scouting options, or even filming quietly while pretending things are normal back home. Without geotags or clear confirmation, those theories stay in the gray zone, but they keep conversations running. Social media accounts tell their own story. Longtime followers of both Sumit and Jenny have noticed waves in how often they post together versus separately. There are stretches where their feeds are full of joint outings, matching selfies, restaurant dates, and cozy home moments. Then, suddenly, you get longer gaps, solo shots, or generic landscape photos without either of their faces. For a regular couple, that might not mean much. For reality stars whose whole brand is their relationship, those gaps feel loud. Follower behavior adds more fuel. Fans track who follows whom, who likes whose posts, and who stops showing up in comments. When Jenny skips commenting on Sumit's photo for a while, or when he avoids pairing his posts with hers, people notice. Sometimes it later lines up with a rough patch they mention on a spin-off or an interview. Other times, the silence never gets explained publicly, leaving only speculation and a trail of half-connected dots. There is also the question of whether Sumit is pulling back from public couple content on purpose. After so many seasons, so much judgment about their age gap, and so many arguments with his parents broadcast worldwide, he might feel tired of putting every moment online. Another theory is less gentle. Some viewers think he is carefully managing his image for a potential solo return to the franchise. If he wants a new storyline, maybe involving work, travel, or even a different kind of relationship drama, he would benefit from creating distance between his current married image and the next chapter producers might be interested in. The franchise has a history of bringing back cast members after breakups or big changes. People have seen it with Pedro, Darcy, Colt, and others. So when Sumit posts cryptic lines about wanting more chances on TV or hints that his story is not over, fans start connecting it with his travel patterns. Is he avoiding press in India, where people know his family, or is he testing his appeal as an independent personality, not just Jenny's husband? Without a direct statement, all we have are his locations, his captions, and the way his online presence sometimes feels like he is in two different worlds at once: the settled married man in India and the free-roaming reality star who might be planning his next move. If you zoom out from Sumit and Jenny and place their story next to other 90-day fiancé couples, the patterns start to look painfully familiar. Different countries, different families, same core behavior. A man who says he is in love, a partner who sacrifices more, a family that pulls strings from the background, and a slow drip of broken promises that build into a collapse. Take Rishi and Jen. Rishi is also an Indian man with a foreign partner, an American woman who stepped into his world thinking love would be enough to push back against tradition. His family did not know about Jen at first. They were busy trying to arrange a proper Indian marriage for him. While he told Jen she was the one, he let his parents continue the search. On screen, he looked torn, emotional, apologetic. Off-screen, the reality was simple. He did not tell the truth until he had no choice. That mirrors Sumit almost beat for beat. Say, "I love you" to the girlfriend. Say, "I will obey" to the parents. Delay the explosion for as long as possible. Pedro and Chantel are another strong comparison, even though their cultural setup is different. Pedro moved from the Dominican Republic to the US, married Chantel, and then let his mother and sister whisper in his ear nonstop. His mom pushed him to focus on money, on sending funds back home, on prioritizing family over his wife. Chantel begged him to build their own life, separate from his mother's grip. Over time, he sided more and more with his family's expectations. He checked out of the marriage emotionally, stopped communicating, and eventually walked away. Viewers saw a man who said he wanted a good life with his wife, but consistently chose the path that made his family comfortable instead. In all these situations, the common thread is not culture alone. It is behavior. These men struggle to set boundaries. They say what their partner wants to hear in private, then fold when their parents push. They create a double reality, one where the partner believes the relationship is the priority, and another where the family believes tradition still rules. That double life always cracks. The partner feels betrayed, the family feels disrespected, the man in the middle cries, apologizes, and asks for more time. Viewers see it again and again. With Sumit, the warning signs were there from day one. He lied about his identity, posing as Michael Jones. He hid his arranged marriage until he was dragged out of a shared apartment in front of cameras. He promised Jenny he would marry her, then stalled for years, blaming his parents, the divorce, the community. Even after they finally married, he flirted with the idea of annulment when his parents said they would cut him off. His emotional loyalty constantly shifted back and forth between the woman he said he loved and the parents he could not stand up to. Some fans argue that the breakup of trust between Sumit and Jenny was written into their pattern long before any rumors of secret wives, pregnancies, or police. They point to small moments, like when he laughed off her fears about aging alone in India, or when he seemed more passionate about pleasing his mom than protecting his wife. They connect those dots with what they have seen in other couples. When a man shows you that his first instinct is to please his family, and his second instinct is to smooth over your pain with words instead of action, you can predict where that road ends. Rishi eventually faced a breaking point with Jen when his half-truths caught up. Pedro reached a point of no return with Chantel when his emotional exit from the marriage turned into a legal one. With Sumit and Jenny, the story looks softer on the surface because they are still posting together sometimes, still presenting as a unit. Yet the same ingredients are present: family as the main authority, a partner who gave up more and has less of a safety net, and a man in the center who has trained himself to avoid hard final choices. So when people now question how stable Sumit and Jenny really are, they are not only reacting to fresh rumors, they are recognizing a script they have watched play out across this franchise for years. A script where the woman holds on, the family digs in, and the man tries to stand in both worlds until eventually one side loses. Now, the big question hanging over everything is not only are Sumit and Jenny okay, but is he setting himself up to come back to TV without her? Fans have seen this pattern before. A couple becomes popular, their story seems wrapped, then one half of the pair pops back up on a new season or spin off with a fresh angle. When Sumit posts about wanting to return to the franchise, asking TLC to give them more screen time, people listen closely to the wording. Sometimes it sounds like he means both of them. Other times, it feels like he is more focused on his own journey, his own growth, his own next phase. There is a quiet fear in the fandom that Jenny is slowly being faded out in real time. She appears less in interviews, she posts fewer independent updates. Some of her content feels nostalgic, like she is clinging to past moments instead of showing new ones. For someone whose identity in the 90-day universe is built around being one half of this controversial couple, fading from view looks a lot like being written out. Not with an official press release, but through silence and absence. The camera moves on without saying goodbye. From a production point of view, Sumit alone is an easy sell. He has drama history, strong family conflict, culture clashes, and a fan base that has strong opinions about him. TLC has never shied away from building spin-offs around messy men who left chaos behind. Pedro got his own arc after his split. Colt stuck around long after his first engagement. So, when people hear Sumit wants back in, they do not doubt that he would pitch himself as a central figure, with or without Jenny by his side. Rumors swirl that he has been in contact with production, that he is looking for a way to refresh his image. Maybe as a man rebuilding his life after hard choices. Or as someone trying to balance family duty and personal freedom once again. None of that is officially confirmed, but the possibility fits the larger pattern of how this franchise works. Drama sells, and complicated men who leave a trail of broken trust behind them sell even more. Emotionally, that stings for viewers who were invested in Jenny's happy ending. They watched her fight through catfishing, an exposed marriage, vicious in-law confrontations, visa issues, and cultural shock, all for the promise of a partner who would finally put her first. The idea that she could be quietly replaced in the public eye by a rebranded version of Sumit, positioned as some sort of misunderstood hero starting over, feels like a second betrayal layered on top of everything she has already lived. There is also a harsher possibility that some fans bring up. If Sumit does pursue a solo return, he might lean into a narrative that gently distances him from the more uncomfortable parts of the Jenny story, focusing on personal growth, new work, travel, or family duties, lets him look forward-focused while leaving the mess of an unequal relationship in the background. That would let him keep the sympathy of viewers who like his charm and humor while shifting attention away from the heavy cost of his past decisions on the woman who loved him most. At the same time, there is a section of the audience that believes Jenny would be better off away from cameras, away from the pressure of public judgment and franchise drama. They see her as someone who paid enough in emotional wages, who earned a quiet life where she does not have to perform her pain for ratings. For those viewers, the idea of her fading out is sad, but maybe also a form of mercy, as long as she is safe, supported, and not trapped in a situation that keeps reopening old wounds. No matter which side you fall on, one thing is clear. The story of Sumit and Jenny stopped being a simple cross-cultural romance a long time ago. It turned into a case study in how far someone will go for love, how much they will lose for it, and how often the person they trust most hesitates when it is time to fully choose them. If Sumit returns to the franchise alone, that will answer some questions and raise new ones. Did he ever deserve the level of faith Jenny gave him? And who will pay the emotional bill for this saga when the cameras have finally moved on to the next scandal waiting in the 90-Day Fiance universe?